The Heresy Accountabilibuddies Podcast is dedicated to all things Horus Heresy. This podcast delves into the grimdark universe where Primarchs clash, legions rise, and loyalties fracture faster than a Land Raider's track. But it's not just about the lore of the Horus Heresy. The Accountabilibuddies also explore the gaming side of things, from painting and modeling tips to product reviews and ideas to help you in your hobby. So, whether you're a seasoned Forge World veteran or a fresh-faced scout, this podcast is your Vox channel to the galaxy. Expect discussions on lore, modeling, gaming, and maybe even the shenanigans that your hosts somehow seem to find their way into. Remember, in the grim darkness of the far future, there are only two things you can count on: heresy and your trusty Accountabilibuddies.
And welcome to episode 114 of Heresy Accountabilibuddies Podcast. Tonight, this episode has with you your host, Jack, along with
Duncan,
Jamie,
and John,
and Jack. Before we get started on the nuts and bolts of everything, let's go ahead and kick it over to our sponsors for some station identification.
Do you love resin bases? Then go to our sponsor, Elric Hobbies, for all of your basing and basing accessory needs. Use code HERESYABB at checkout for a discount. Legendary Monument Hobbies. Monument Hobbies is a one-stop shop for all of your painting needs. Use code HERESYABB at checkout for a 5% discount on your purchase. Pop Goes the Monkey. Find maker of third-party accessory bits of arms, legs, backpacks, and more, where you can get 10% off your first order over $125 with code HERESYABB at checkout.
And thank you to our Patreons. Naming off this a couple: Brian, Ned, Bryce, Steven. Thank you all. All right, guys. What all do we have planned for tonight? Anything crazy? We got some hobby progress. We got some news. We got some paint talk. I'm sure we'll talk about Adepticon because we are a month and a half away.
Oh God, I'm not ready yet. I haven't. Yeah, I'm good.
51 days, and I haven't started painting.
I have not started painting, but also I don't have to paint.
Hey Jack, you want to assemble some stuff for me?
I'm in Mexico.
Oh, that's right. You're in Mexico.
I'm on a
Try to
beach
avoid
right
the cartel,
now
sir.
with margaritas and Cabana Boys because we all love Cabana Boys.
Yep.
I love Cabana Boys. Anyway, John, do you want to start us off?
Sure, which way you want to go first there?
Hobby?
Sure. So this week in hobby, our Wednesday hangouts, I was actually able to get a whole bunch done, even though I was, as most people that joined said, sounding like death. So I was actually able to get, I think it's 5 different tiles built this week. 4 of them were mainly built from old train buildings that I'd picked up cheaply at comic shows and things like that. So I think I've maxed out at like $10 to $15 a building. I've got a 3-story kind of apartment block that I've got 40K-ized up a little bit with a bunch of pipe endings and things like that on the sides of it. I've got a couple of bombed out buildings that I've had decent roofs on. I just kind of hit with a hammer and attacked with a Dremel tool. And then I started building one of the Cities of Death Mechanicus buildings. So I had to go cut some custom tiles for the inside of that, which I'm going to crash the ship into. It's going to be filled with the smoke machines for the table. And I'm working on, today I was able to go through and cut the pink foam spacer blocks that I'd put in a lot of the doors for the ZM table. I cut most of those up so that they looked like chipped up pieces instead of just square foam. So trying to make sure that I could save some weight on those doors. That's all I've gotten up to this week. What about Duncan?
Ooh, okay. So this week, I got the last of the Rampagers dirtied up with streaking grime. I got them all streaked, got the weathering down on them, got that all cleaned up as best I could, which I'll talk about here after a while even further. I also got 78 bases laid down. I got first batch of 8 are done. Those were the tester ones that I had that I was working on to make certain I liked the scheme. So those are done. I've got 70 after that are primed and ready for the next 3 layers that I'll be putting onto them, and then the dry brush, and then they'll be done. I hopefully should have all of those done mid this week, so I can put all the guys onto their bases, have them final seal, and then start work on some land raiders and have those knocked out as quickly as possible. Beyond that, not much. So I'm going to go ahead and kick it over to Jamie. Jamie, what have you done this week?
So I'm just gonna be frank up front. Not a whole lot because I had fucking Grandpappy Nurgle dick punch me again this week. So I've been home with 2 children that have had the confirmed cases of the flu, and I've had to work from home a lot, which most people are like, that's awesome, except that I'm also having to take care of the 2 pukies upstairs while doing that. So it's been a very trying week. So what have I gotten done this week? I have not painted anything, but I have to tell you how much I've been printing, which Jack can confirm, like the numbers. I've gone through 200 or 2,000 gram bottles of resin this week.
Holy smokes, Batman!
So yeah.
Thank you, Jamie.
I've been trying to get caught up as much as possible because basically I can set a print up and then put it on the printer and just let it go while I'm working, down in my office, getting high on resin fumes, which, by the way, that's really bad, but I'm just going to tell you that. Anyways, so yeah, I've literally just been printing as much as possible, as fast as possible, because I'm trying to get everything I can to everybody that has asked for stuff for Adepticon. So in addition, while printing, you don't have to do a whole lot, but then post-printing, you have to wash it, and then you have to cure it, and then you also have to get rid of all the excess supports and all that stuff, which can take a little bit of time. So that's pretty much what I've been doing this week, is just printing like mad. I had problems, too, trying to find, I'm probably on I already know I'm on government watch list. That's a different story, but I'm probably on new government watch list because I've been trying to buy 99% isopropyl alcohol locally, and apparently it's like black gold. Like, you can't find it. So I've had to order some because I've basically used so much cleaning stuff that I've printed this week that it wouldn't clean anymore.
May I offer a substitution for you?
Sure.
Have you tried Denature alcohol?
I have not.
You can get at Lowe's for a gallon for like $20. It works really, really well. So
I was able to find 91% isopropyl alcohol in 32-ounce bottles at Walmart for $3 a bottle, which that's actually not that bad.
No.
And that's what I'm using right now while I'm waiting for, apparently, like if you order off of Amazon, I've been getting resin within 4 hours of ordering it from Amazon. Like, it's delivered in 4 hours to my house, this is like crazy to me. But like, ordering the alcohol to clean this stuff is taking like 4 to 5 days. So yeah, that's kind of what's been going on.
I had to order some plastic cards for these buildings, and it amazes me. Like, if a local hobby shop orders plastic cards, it takes like 8 weeks. Like, I've worked in hobby shops, I've frequented hobby shops. I've never seen them get Evergreen or any of those type of companies quick orders. I ordered from Evergreen, and it's like, would you like to wait for the slow shipping, or would you like to pay an extra 50 cents to get it tomorrow? I'm like, I think we'll try this 50-cent option, and literally, I got it the next day.
Who would say no to that?
Right.
But yeah, as I was saying, like, getting resin like within like 5 hours is crazy. Like, and like That's not lightweight. Those bottles are. I mean, they're so like the person comes running up to the door. They're like, "Man, this is heavy," and then drops it off and runs away. And like Asher's like, "What did you get from Amazon?" But yeah, so printing like mad as much as I can, as fast as I can, which is not super fast because I'm not like super cool and have like a a current gen printer. I have an older gen that just works. So, anyways,
That sounds
I
that sounds like a personal attack.
no,
Not
no,
to me,
it's not on
but to
you. It's
somebody.
on other people that keep telling me that I need to get a new printer, but like I'm trying to be cost conscious. I'm trying to save money right now. So anyways, I guess I will hand it off to I guess it has Jack gone?
I have not. I have not. I because of life, I have gotten in the phone this week, which is nice. And I started working on a review video for the YouTube channel that is going to require me to do some stuff with a 3D printer. So that is going to be waiting on all of that because I too do not have a new fancy 3D printer, and that's okay. But yeah,
Yeah, but yours is a lot more modern than mine.
Saturn 8K.
Okay, mine's a S. So
So
yeah, that's about the same gen.
yeah,
So.
yeah, it's right there. So yeah, so I know I will be getting a new printer, not because of um necessarily want, but because I've ran this one through the ringer, so I know it's just a matter of time until it decides to kill over.
Yeah, I mean, we've already talked about this, and I know we're already off in the woods again about this. It's almost every show.
That's
But
what happens when you and I go together. It's 3D printing.
so yeah, I'm kind of waiting for all the new like the whiz bang features to like get sorted out before like the Saturn 4 Ultras. Like a lot of people like them, but there's also a lot of hate about them because of some of the new features. And same thing with the 4K Ultra 16K or whatever. Um, the Saturn 3 Ultra is probably like the better, just like most stable of the printers right now. Like with like just it works type deal. So I don't know, and those are getting pretty cheap now too. But yeah, just kind of waiting.
Yeah, that I'm just waiting for it to die, and I'm gonna get whatever
Float your boat.
whatever is in the correct price range for
Yeah.
when I'm buying a new one. Like the 7 312K is $278 right now on Amazon, and that's with free shipping and getting it to my house. And I could get it if I ordered it right now. I could get it Tuesday.
Well, but like you could get a. Oh wow! Oh yeah, Saturn 3 Ultra from direct from the manufacturer is $299.
Yeah, I'll pay the little bit extra for Amazon with the ease of returning it to Amazon.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yep. That makes sense.
So because I did have a printer.
If it's a little extra, I've seen some cases where it's a lot extra. Like
Yeah, this to know of I can drive it literally up the road and get rid of it if it's
Oh, no.
broken because I
Yeah.
had it happen with a printer last year. It came in broken, and I got it replaced. And I had a new one before I even had a chance to ship up the old one, pack up the old one that was broken. So, thank you, Daddy Bezos.
Thank you, Daddy Bezos.
So, is that it, everybody?
Yep.
Seems that way.
Outstanding. John.
Mm-hmm.
What was in the news this week, John?
Well, there wasn't much. I don't think we got anything really. I mean, if you look at the actual releases for things that hit the store this week, we didn't get very much at all. We got 1,000 tabs that are open, and I can't find which one that actually directs me to the GW site. We got nothing from Starforged. We got a bunch of Eldar crap and some Necromunda stuff that actually officially dropped this week. And then for previews for next week, nothing major. I mean, just the entire line of Krieg is coming out next week. The Lord Marshal, the Command Squad, the Death Riders, the Combat Engineers, the Basic Infantry, the Heavy Weapons Squad, the Artillery Team, a Combat Patrol.
But that wasn't Krieg. It was a mix.
Yeah,
of
it's Astra Militarum.
Like, I don't know what the Rough Riders were. They're like Mongol looking.
Yeah, that's the normal guard stuff. But yeah, so basically the entire Krieg line goes up for pre-order next week.
I don't know if they're getting any. They're also getting new codex. They're on the front of the new IG codex too. That's coming out at the same time.
Yeah,
and then
put your wallet down. Put down the wallet, Jack. Leave the credit card in the wallet.
So, but yeah, like no tanks, but they have all the different varieties of small, medium, and large artillery. So
I'm not that surprised they didn't get a tank. I mean, they don't think they'd previewed any tanks.
they have it, but I'm kind of surprised they didn't get like a big transport tank, or they don't really.
I'm surprised they didn't get a tank commander so they could stick someone in the turret of a Lehman Russ or whatever the other new tank is. Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't get that, but I mean, it kind of makes sense.
Yeah, they're releasing Siege of Vrax, the Deathcore novel, which is basically they took all the Siege of Vrax Imperial Armor books and then kind of freed them up just a little bit and put this into a novel. The normal release of Interceptor City, which was the really fancy, super expensive edition book, the sequel to Double Eagle, is coming out next for pre-order next week as well. They're re-releasing Double Eagle to go with that. And that's really it from official GW stuff. During the week, we got probably, I don't think anyone on the internet has said, I totally saw this coming, but in the new Mechanicum, well, I say new Mechanicum, it's almost 2 years old at this point, but in 2.0 Mechanicum, they added a new unit called the Arcutor Magisterum, which is basically a tech assassin. They were in a couple of the books, just kind of just standing there in the background, and I think one of them killed. Officially get the figure. To me, it doesn't scream Mechanicum. It's very.
Yeah, it was kind of weird. It was another out of left field type mini.
Yeah, it almost looks like it goes with the Necromunda releases we got this week.
Yep. I mean, it's a cool mini. It just doesn't. It doesn't look like.
I like it for bits.
Yeah,
I think it looks awesome as it is, but I see a lot different uses for it that I've definitely things I could do for it. I don't know.
Yeah, a lot of people that were going to use the Magisterium already had models converted for it. I know I picked up a couple models to use for parts for conversions. It's definitely an interesting choice for release, but it's nice to get models.
Yep.
Also this week, we got a random kind of know-nothing release on Wednesday. The trailer for Astartes Season 2.
Yeah, I can't really complain about that one at all.
The only thing I can complain about is when it says that the trailer is not actual clips from the new season.
Yeah.
So we don't know what the hell this is basically just a fluff reel. But I was well fluffed. Busy things in there got me hobby hard.
Yep.
Hard for Heresy. The Predators on the road, the Caped Marines, like there is a lot in this. That's just
what they said is that this would lead into what the Astartes 2 is, which if you kind of look all the way to the very end, it looks like they're probably it's gonna be Death Watch, is what I would say.
Yeah, so the end of it is it lingers on a Terminator helmet with the Inquisition symbol in the middle of it, and then it has the Death Watch
And if I had to guess
catchphrase.
with this preview, basically like all the different, because it had a ton of different, not legions, but
Chapters
chapters.
and targets.
Right.
There was
So,
Karl,
like,
there was orcs, there was chaos.
I think there was not Necron, but
Orcs.
orcs, and then there was also Tyranid, I think too. There's like Hormagaunts from it or whatever at the
Yeah,
bite.
there's a lot of stuff in there.
But if I had to guess, basically like each one of the people they kind of focused on in each of the short, views of the different chapters or whatever, they're all probably going to end up in like in the death in like a Death Watch squad or whatever you want to call it.
I could
Yeah,
see
with
something like that.
little cutbacks for where we saw these little vignettes.
Yep.
Sorry, I got stuck rewatching it again.
It's like if you have
It's hard not to, honestly.
it's really hard
Yeah.
not to like it. Like
I sent it to a couple like non 40K friends, and they're like, "How do I do this?"
yep.
I was like, "Yeah,
And it was all non-Primaris too, was another thing that was kind of like, whoa.
yeah." You can tell that the guy that does these definitely has a chosen style of Marine he likes a lot better.
Yeah, he absolutely does. And you know what? Did like it.
Yep. From unofficial GW, merch.warhammer.com. Apparently, all the Space Marine 2 stuff didn't sell as well as they thought, and they are now offering a 15% off pretty much anything that came out with Space Marine 2. So if you want to get a fancy sock set and a coin, or a scarf, or a water bottle, or a hat, pretty much anything that came with Space Marine 2 is right now on the clearance rack, so to speak. I know 15% off isn't like anything to write home about, but saving money is saving money.
Yep, it is.
I've always been the type of guy that if I know I'm going to use a daily household object, and I can get one that happens to be branded like whatever nerditry I like most, I'll probably buy that one. So this is why I have many Josh branded mugs to use around the house. This is why I've got a Quilla necklace and things like that. Because if I'm going to wear a shirt, I might as well wear one that's got Warhammer shit on it.
I can't really disagree with you on that. I'm wearing a shirt with the Warhammer stuff right now.
That's really all the official releases we got. This week I was also nice enough to meet up with Avash, or Jeremy, out of our Discord chat. He's been working on some terrain for me, and he got all that finished up. And when he handed that over, he gave me a whole bunch of bases to use for our future project. And so right now we're trying to figure out where that's going to go, but I just wanted to give him a shout out and say thank you for being a cool guy and giving us some pre-painted bases to go with the future project.
Definitely appreciate him doing that. Yep.
And then, keeping in the theme of our weekly hangouts, we have a drawing to give away, gentlemen.
Do we
So
now?
our first hobby giveaway for the 2-week hobby challenge. Again, we had rules that we would post a catchphrase. You take a picture of your model that you're going to work on for the 2 weeks with that catchphrase in the beginning, and then at the end of the 2 weeks, you post a picture with the catchphrase and your completed model, and we'll enter you into the drawing. And I will say that a lot of people were able to keep up on top of the official drawing. I kept dutifully updated with it on my Excel spreadsheet. Had a whole bunch of guys that actually covered through as far as entries and never finishing. There was only 7 out of the, say, almost 30 entries that didn't finish. So definitely people kept on top of their hobby and were able to keep up that way. I've put everyone that finished in a very long list. We have officially 25 entries of people that finished, and then we have the extra entries for everyone that is a patron. So I have a random number generator up. We've decided that we're going to go ahead and give away for first place. They're going to get the paint mixture, and then for second place, they're going to get the brush cleaner. So for first place, we have 26, Trevor Borth. You get a
Neat.
paint mixer. And
Trevor,
for second
congratulations.
place, Turkey. Turkey, you get a brush cleaner.
Congratulations, Turkey.
I will reach out to the guys. I know Turkey's a little underage, so I don't necessarily know how his folks are going to feel about us mailing something directly to him, but I've got friends that live around him, not creepily, I hope, and they will go ahead and hand that off to him if he doesn't want to get it directly.
Well, that's cool. Congratulations again to Trevor and to Turkey. We're very happy for both of you.
And as a reminder, we are kicking off the new drawings going forward, so we'll be doing the same thing at the end of March, or the beginning of March. I've got it. I've got the official rules in the thread.
Dig it, dig it, dig it. So that's our first giveaway, right? When are we doing our next? When are we doing our next one, John?
I think you want me to have something built by Adepticon.
Is that what it was?
Why don't you talk about that one?
I don't know, John. I mean, what are we built? What are you building for Adepticon? I know I've got a couple special projects that I'm working on that I just finished paying for today, or
Like-
actually yesterday.
120 whatever berserkers.
No, I'm not giving the 120 berserkers away. But I might have ordered a couple busts of a certain miniature thing, so that might be something I did. And we can talk about that here after we get done here with this. But John, what was it? Because I honestly don't recall at this point.
The table, Death Ray Designs table.
Oh yeah. That's another one of the full set of terrain that we actually got from Death Ray Designs. That's the not their current 40K set, but the God, I have to pull up their website to pull this up. Go ahead and pause for a moment, or fill the space, fill the air.
It was a full city set.
Yep.
Much like the one that I've already painted. I painted for Blake when he won the last drawing.
Yeah, I think it's the exact same set actually.
It is.
Okay, good.
It's not going to have some of the extras that I threw in for him, but it will definitely have all the building parts.
Cool. One moment. It's my Death Ray Designs account is logging in. And what was it? Okay, it was the Shattered Landscape Downtown Table Bundle. That's what we ordered. And that's the full 6x4 worth of building terrain and everything. Okay. And we're doing that for the giveaway, you said?
That's what you told me to do.
Well, it sounds to me like that's what we're doing.
I didn't even started on it. So if you want to change your mind, we can do that.
No. I mean, we have it from them, and they're the ones who donated it to us to do as a giveaway. We didn't give them anything for it. They actually just gave it to us to get out. So I figure let's just go ahead and do it then.
All right.
Thank you, Death Ray Designs.
Thank you, Death Ray Designs.
Lord knows that I have a lot of their terrain already, and I know that I've convinced a lot of people to buy it anyway. So we definitely appreciate Death Ray Designs being awesome. Not just people to work with, but just people in general.
Yeah, they're good people, and they're good people for the community. They do a lot, and we really do appreciate those.
Yeah, they have some good stuff, such good stuff that I'll definitely be by their booth at Adepticon. Unfortunately, spending money.
Jack and I are gonna drunkenly wander into their booth again and spend a lot of money.
You know
I think
what?
we do that every year. Why do we do that every year?
Maybe this whole entire Adepticon thing being in a new location is good. Maybe that's how I talk myself out of buying stuff because I don't feel like packing it 20 miles to the car.
That just means at this point you're going to tell me to pack it to the car. And
You
that's
pack
not
it
how
to my
this is.
car?
That's not how this is supposed to work. I'm supposed to have a pocket jack for whenever something goes wrong, and I can just flip open the pocket jack, and there's the pocket jack taking care of all the problems. But if I'm the one who's having to pack the stuff because you're not there, I mean, this doesn't work.
Works for me.
This feels. Yeah, I figured it would work for you.
Look,
But,
this is the way this friendship's working out right now. This year,
Okay.
all this stuff is your problem. Next year, all this will be my problem.
Okay, that's fair. I'll accept that.
Then I could be upset about the changing of colors and stuff.
I mean, yeah, sure, we can do that.
Too early for that segue?
I mean, we could go into it. We can start there. It won't hurt.
So Duncan, you were painting stuff the other day, weren't you?
Oh God! All right, so let me go ahead and lay out the two paints in front of me so that I know exactly which target of my bitching this time is what is going on. Okay, so for years, whenever I've painted World Eaters, I have always finished everything up with the weathering shade of AK-012 Streaking Grime Enamel Color. It's supposed to be for all vehicles, but when you sit there and you do it right, it comes away not just for vehicles. It can do whatever you want. And the color I use of it it's brown. It's very, very, very shady. It doesn't tint the white underneath as long as you're using an off-white. If you are using a bright white underneath for your base paint, it will tint it to an off-white, kind of an ivory. Well,
And this is on the screen right now for everybody that's watching on YouTube. It's the bottle that is on the right of your screen right now.
Okay.
I don't.
So I have had this bottle for I think 3 years now, and I finally run out of it. Well, I shouldn't say that I've run out of it. I've run down to the point where there's only sludge left in the bottom of it, and I had 60 guys ballpark I had 20 guys left to finish with getting all nicely browned up and then get cleaned off. But all I had left was chunky sludge in it. Luckily, back in December, I bought a new bottle of AK Streaking Grime, AK-012, Enamel Effect. Exact same bottle. Supposed to be the exact same color. It's got the exact same number on it. It's got. Hey, look, the UPC is the exact same. Everything about it is identical, except the paint. The enamel color inside of it is not identical. It is, in fact, kind of a off gray black. It is not a brown color at all. I found this out when I popped this open and I was getting ready to pour the very little remaining liquid from the older bottle into the new one, when I realized that before it dropped in there, oh, look, this is entirely a different color. And this is not at all the color that I'm using, and this is not going to work well. So I stopped and I threw some mineral spirits into the sludge, mixed the hell out of it, and threw some more mineral spirits in there. It was too thick, mixed it more, threw more mineral spirits, ad nauseum, until finally it was the right consistency. And then I started putting it on my guys. And instead of, I guess, there being enough paint left in it, sludge was some kind of residue that wasn't entirely paint. I'm not sure what, but it browned everything. And it's very visibly noticeable when you put one guy who's had the browning effect right beside another guy who is not. Now, I'm not saying it's a bad. I'm not saying it's not going to work. It just looks off, and definitely makes squads look different from other squads. It also really obscures some of the detail on the decals, which was kind of irritating. But then I did a tester model with the other one, and it's entirely a different color. Um, just will not work at all because I was figuring I was going to try to see if I could maybe make it work, but no, just no.
Okay,
And
and
this
the color you have been using has been a
brown,
brown. Okay,
it
go
has
on.
been kind of a rust brown.
Okay, because I have some interesting facts to go with it after you get done talking.
Yep. Now I know I could do like John does, which he'll talk about, and I could just mix burnt sienna and a bit of a red tinge into it, and then add that to mineral spirits and mix it all around and make that work. Um, but I haven't done that. I didn't do that when I first started doing my World Eaters, and I figured I wouldn't do that for these guys because I'm continuing on with the exact same paint scheme, and I'm just slapping it down again. But now, unfortunately, I can't do this with this streaking grime. And it got me to thinking about how many different paint companies out there have changed their various paint colors, their paint manufacturers, their paint, uh, I don't know, pigmentation levels, whatever you want to call it, to where different colors are not the same.
How about their
GW,
whole formula?
yeah, GW is very guilty of this. When I first started, they did the hex pots, and they had those colors, and those colors were produced for GW by Cote d'Arms in France. And then sometime in the early 2000s, they switched over to the flip top bottles, which were made by a different company. And then they changed to the twist off bottles, which were made by another company. And they've had at least 3 more since then that I have no longer followed. So you can also compare it to Scale 75 has done it. Vallejo has done it. If you get just some of the Vallejo blue, it varies between bottle to bottle, shade to shade.
Yep.
So there's not a lot of consistency across there either. Um, I've encountered a very minimal amount of that with Army Painter, but that's been primarily having to do with just different colors being somewhat different when they go from one range with like the air range to the mini paint range to the war color or war
Current
paints
Army Painter.
range. Yeah,
So I would say current Army Painter. As of when was Heresy Camp? 2017? 2018?
2017.
Okay, that's when they started getting a lot more consistent. Before that, you really had to watch what batch you were buying.
okay.
Reaper really had the problem with that in the early 2000s when they first started doing their triad lines. Um, and they fixed it up pretty quick because there were some people coming unglued with them. And being in Texas, they knew they should probably fix that pretty quickly. So, um, yeah, those ones have been pretty good about making sure that they're a little better on consistency values.
Okay.
With me, since I'm paint agnostic for the most part, I've found that it's best to stick with a company line, specifically if you're going to do armies and things like that. So, for instance, some of the airbrushing colors that I use for my filter layer, I've been using uh, Hobby Lobby brand artist ink, acrylic artist ink that I can thin down and shoot through the airbrush really easily. The problem is that stuff is really bad about trying to figure out whether or not it's going to be consistently colored. But
Well,
since
yeah.
it's a filter, I'm thinning it so much it really doesn't end up mattering that much. Where as if I was like pooling it somewhere and then trying to use it for something else, then it would make a difference.
The issue with some of those Hobby Lobby filters and like washes and stuff is you don't know how long it's been sitting too.
Yeah,
That's a good point as well.
yeah, and that also kind of goes to some of the things that Duncan's run into is, a lot of these AKs and things. I know this was also a big problem with Army Painter when it first started coming into the U.S. Their spray cans had real bad problems because they were sitting on boats for so long, and then they finally started manufacturing them in the U.S. or switching between two different manufacturers, and then it was a lot better for consistency. So I would say if you're going to start painting with something, make sure that you're either buying enough for the project now. I know that we all never consider armies complete, and so you're always going to be buying and adding stuff to it. But at least try to purchase enough to get you through what you think you're going to be working on for the foreseeable future.
Yep. And see, that's the concern, is that I thought I had. I mean, I've got the whites I use. I've got a couple different models of the bright ivory from Monument Hobbies, and that's what I've switched most of my colors to at this point, as we all know. But I hadn't switched the AK because that was what I'd used before, and it worked for me. But at this point, I was pissed off enough about it that I griped to my fellow co-hosts ad nauseum during our last hobby hangout. And we're talking about it tonight, and I'm bitching to the listeners about it tonight. I used to use and love the AK Grime. I really did. But I'm swearing all this off. I'm never going to use another AK product again at this point. I'm just done with them. And Jack has a bit of information about a number of times that AK has kind of screwed people over on this color stuff.
I'm not gonna say screw people over. And the Grim Dark Compendium did a great job of it. But to sum it all down, basically they had the original color that came out 2016, 2017. Duncan, that is not the color that you have been using over the last several years. You are the second second alteration of that color. Since then, there's now a third one. So this hasn't been just a 1-time thing or a 2-time thing, but we're now at a 3-time thing. And I'm not blaming or attacking or anything else. That is just the inherent problem with companies that will hop around, manufacturer centers. I'm not trying to say anybody is better than anybody else, but there are certain companies out there that you can count on for the time being, from everything that we've seen so far, not doing that. One is a proud sponsor of the show, with Jesus, ProKrill. Jesus, that was
Monument Hobbies, ProKrill.
Monument Hobbies, yeah. One of the things that I've started doing when I'm doing armies now is this going to be a one-off? Like, I'm going to paint 3,000 points of it. In that case, I feel okay buying the GW stuff, like with the Imperial Fist that I've done, and I'm going to start working on again, because that's just going to be a here done, and I'm not going to do any more Imperial Fist. But if I'm doing any large amount of armies, I'm sticking with the Tamias, the ProKrills, the airbrushable inks you can get from Hobby Lobby and Michaels. Like, that's the things that you have to look out for. On your screen right now is the 3 different colors that they have. Please go to Grimdark Compendium. They have a very good breakdown of it. It's called The Curious Case of AK Interactive Streaking Grime -AK012. I tried reading it through here, but it is a large article that even goes into a little bit of color theory from the look of it. So, and this has been happening for the last 5 years at this point.
Yeah, that's kind of what I meant by the screwing people, because from what I understand, from what you were telling me earlier, they never actually announced they were doing these changes.
No.
They just kind of let people find out the hard way.
And keep in mind, this is, where this has been happening so long. It's hard to find stuff like that. It's easy to find the outrage, but it's hard to find any type of media blast, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely considering this not a positive in my interactions with AK Interactive.
No,
So.
it's I thought that some of the AKs I've gotten in the past haven't matched up, but also it's never been that big of an issue. Um, because of this way I'd used them as tinting stuff.
Yeah.
For an issue like this, where this is something you have on a already difficult color to paint, which is white. It's a pain in the butt. It's very 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 frustrating, and especially for somebody who continue to want to build world eaters coming down the as stuff gets added to the line. It's gonna be hard to find that medium that you used, and
Yep.
now you're gonna have to spend a lot of foot traffic on finding a good replacement for it.
Yep.
Mhm.
And I've been looking online at various different things where I could possibly find something. And you and I had actually had a discussion about it, and it's looking like I'm probably going to go with Villainy Inc.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I've had no interaction with Villainy Inc. at this point. I've not talked to them. I've not used any of their stuff, but it does look like they have a color that actually matches over one currently have been used. Pardon, to the one I had been using before, and that is the Rust Enamel Wash, or because I'm not quite certain, the Brown Enamel Wash. I'm not certain which one is going to be better for what I'm wanting to do, so I'm probably going to get both of them and just give it a shot, see how it works. So
Yeah, and
You may want
I've
to look at Goon's Grime too.
Goon's
yeah,
Grime.
Yeah. Might be a little bit too green, but I know Goon's Grime is a good one.
Okay.
Goon's Grime.
yeah, I'd always thought about buying more. So when I first did my Ultramarines, I used the Streaking Grime, but after a while, I started to realize how much I was going to end up using because of how much stuff I have to paint. And there wasn't a readily available supplier for AK at that time, so I kind of started mixing my own. I went out to Hobby Lobby and bought. I originally started with just clearance aisle oil paints, and then ended up mixing them together. And as I've kind of moved forward, I've ended up just going and buying decent quality Winsor and Newton oils and from the aisles themselves, just mainly because you can never really count on what's going to come in clearance, and then also the fact that the cheaper the paint, you end up having more of either the linseed oil, which is what kind of suspends the pigments and allows you to paint, which we found really doesn't work really good for models. It ends up tinting them a funny color sometimes if you don't get all the linseed oil out, or you get varying pigment size, and so you'll end up with a bunch of chunky parts in there. Also, some of the really cheap siennas that I used turned out to use like an iron oxide as their base, and so whenever I would wash over magnets, the wash would gravitate towards the magnet, and so I'd end up with really dark spots wherever my magnets were. It's kind of funny to watch that happen.
No
But
offense,
Now
that
that's
is
interesting.
hilarious.
yeah, yeah, I was like, why is my paint going uphill? And then it was just all under the armpits of the Fulmintaris Terminators because I'd magnetized all their arms.
Now,
Um,
that's really interesting. I'd never
yeah,
even thought of possibly doing that.
yeah. So you've got to be a little bit careful with them. What I do now is I usually end up mixing it in bulk, and so if you go to most hobby shops, they'll have glass jars with nice plastic tops and like a rubber washer on the inside. That way it seals up. So I usually make one of those. I fill it about a third full with black, burnt sienna, and then sometimes I'll add in a green or another color if I want to be a little weirder to add in some lower colors. But mainly just the black and the burnt sienna or raw, depending on what I'm washing at the time. And then I have the one that is just mainly paint. And then as I'm washing, I clean my brush in one of those same jars that is just pure mineral spirit. When that jar is about half empty, now that in of itself is a good rust jar or a good wash jar. And so basically, I'm making paint as I'm cleaning my brush.
When you do that, do you notice that plastic bottles don't seem to last very long?
Oh yeah, that's why I buy the glass ones. They're a couple, a couple dollars a piece when you first get into it, but they're definitely worth it. And you can buy them in bulk on Amazon. I think it's 12 jars for $20 or something like that. It's definitely worth the price because mineral spirits will destroy plastic.
Yeah, I've got a couple that I had done that before in the past, and I didn't realize that. And I'd used plastic bottles, and they cracked, they leaked, they
Yep.
sealed badly after a short period of time, and then one of them, the sides became so flexible that you could squish it, and it would kind of steep, kind of nasty.
Yeah, I do something similar with the Ultramarines. I have a Tamiya glass bottle with a lid. This is like, I think they sell them for mixing paints, and you can keep it.
Yep.
Yep.
I have that with a black blue oil wash that I use for my Ultramarines bodies and tanks. This is kind of like a first step of, like, getting the crevices and stuff like that. I have that mixed up, and I just literally shake up, throw on. So I'm right there with John.
I do that when when I do Alpha Legion stuff and I have to mix shades or whatever together. I try to make enough of that at one time that I don't have to remake it because it never comes out right. Even if you write the recipe down, it just just doesn't react well. But yeah, put them in those glass jars that John's talking about.
Yeah, and we've talked about this before, like planning. Like, it's easy for us to sit here and say, "Oh, well, we did this planning long term," um, because we've done several large armies or continue to do large armies. This is this little shortcut you learn when you keep building onto stuff. Like, Jamie, you can never get the same colors for your Alpha Legion. So I just started when the bottle hit the halfway point, mixing up a new batch. That way, it's slowly
Kind of
works its way in.
Yeah.
So
That makes sense. That's one thing that when I was doing the Blood Angels between the last iteration of them and the current iteration of them, where I switched over to the monument stuff and I've done the mix on them, I've written the actual mix down and I've had to make it twice now. And strangely enough, the Proacryl, they're the exact same colors. Done the exact same mix way, no issue whatsoever.
One thing I've done that kind of helps with some of the mixing is it's a Daiso thing, but they have make your own flashcard sets that come bound on like a D-ring from a binder, and the cards are just graph paper, but it's a thicker cardstock graph paper. And so what I do is when I'm happy with my mixture for the first time, I go in and I paint one of those cards with that graph paper with my color. And next time when I'm mixing it up, I could pull that little card out and hold it there, and after I've mixed up a new set, paint a new card, and as long as they're close enough, I can move on.
I'll definitely do it.
I did that with literally a piece of plastic for the Alpha Legion, so I always have something that is flat that I can base everything off of.
The comic, well, okay, yeah, I do that too. But I get like it's a piece of plastic card, but basically they use them for comic book storage box dividers that you can get them cheap in comic book stores, and they're usually white and they're plastic card, and I usually will just spray on those like to test how the finish is going to be. I may even prime sections of it and hit it with different colors of primer, and then spray over that to see how it will react. So it's
Yeah,
very
with these index card things, they're all bound together, so I don't have to worry about running around and finding them. And it's just handy to have where everything's going to be sometimes.
Oh yeah, I mean it makes good sense.
One thing I picked up from John a while back was the trying to use the back of plastic spoons.
You didn't like the corgi butts?
No, I didn't get any of the corgi butts, but I've got a lot of spare plastic spoons laying around, so
Yeah.
I've used those, and those seem to work out just fine.
Yeah, that's something I picked up from the Gundam modelers, and the apparently that wasn't good enough for one company, and they've come out with literally a set of Corgi rear ends because that's rounded, so it allows you to test the shading of things, and they make them in clear, black, and white plastic. And obviously, you can do the same thing with spoons. You can go buy clear, black, or white spoons that you can just use for painting. So I thought it was hilarious. The company was like, "Oh, we'll make those things and sell them for more than plastic spoons, and hopefully our company will work."
Yep. Yep. Anyway, that pretty much sums up my my ranting on the topic of AK Interactive.
Okay. Have you gotten any updates on Adepticon and how's everything going on that side? Because I haven't heard anything.
So I actually have gotten a couple bits of information
Okay.
on that. And if you'll give me one moment, I'll open that page up because I didn't realize we were getting there.
So anyway, there I was, covered in motor oil and NC walks with a 350 crate engine, and I'm like, what will I do? What will I do?
Break and
I
loop. Break and loop.
don't know. What will you do, Jack? So I got a rough estimation thing of sign up numbers, and we are looking like the event Jack is running. The Conflagration in the Grail Abyss is nearly full, if not full. The Crisis in the Grail Abyss, which is the one that I am running at the same time as Jack's on Thursday, is getting close to full. People can sign up for both those still. There's still spots there. And the Wrath and Ruin that I'm running on Sunday, apparently there's going to be a fairly hefty amount of Heresy gamers who are still around on Sunday and looking for games. So we've got a number of people who have signed up there, thankfully. Other than that, the doubles, I believe, is currently sold out. The Grand Team event is either sold out or has less than 3 spots left. And the Big Ass Game, or the BAG, is already sold out. So there we go on that front. Anybody who's thinking about getting tickets for Adepticon for the Heresy events, I know that we have a few spots left in our events, or some of our events, and I know that there are a few spots left in our friends over at Ferrix's events. So anybody who's wanting to jump into stuff, go ahead and jump in. Remember, they're not tournaments, even though they're actually listed as tournaments in the actual Adepticon sheets or on the website. They are, in fact, narrative events. So please keep that in mind. Don't think you're going to get away with bringing a Warhound Titan at 3K in the Crisis event, because that's just not going to fly. Things like that. But this is all for fun. This is what we do. This is a hobby. Please come to play appropriately.
With correctly modeled
Correctly
or
painted and modeled miniatures.
yeah. And by correctly painted, we mean painted.
Yes. Yes. Please paint your miniatures.
Yeah.
Don't pull a Duncan in 2000, or sorry, don't pull a Duncan from 92 through 2010, I think, and don't paint your stuff. Just go ahead and paint your stuff, please.
Yeah. Doesn't matter how well you think it is or isn't. Just paint your stuff.
Take inspiration from our friend Turkey, who hangs out in the hobby hangout and puts paint out there every single week. He's gotten so much better as time has gone on, and he's been taking advice and putting paint to miniature. He's gotten so much better than I was at his age. It's ridiculous.
It's easy to be better than you were at that age.
That's fair. It's probably easier to be better than me at this age too, but I'm not speaking on that. But it's definitely been helpful to me to find motivation to paint and get stuff done as well. So here's to anybody who wants to come out and hobby. We're open. We're here. And we have people in there pretty much every day of the week doing stuff. But Wednesday is our designated hangout for as many people as want to come. So that's the Adepticon thing. Your friendly hosts will be at the meet and greet for whatever it's called that Adepticon's hosting for the podcasters, content creators, or whatever it is. We will be there. We may have some swag with us to give away to people. Who knows? Maybe some posters, maybe some pins. Who knows? We don't know what we're going to have. We'll just figure that out.
Definitely handshakes.
Yep, handshakes. John and I will be handing out really awkward hugs. Jack will be handing out firm, limp-wristed handshakes. So,
Firm,
and
limp wrist. Okay.
yep. You're gonna firmly grasp onto their hand and then limp wrist as they vigorously shake your hand up and down.
Anyway, moving on. Some announcements that we should probably do, and I'm just gonna sit here and keep on talking as I type it in. ATC 40K. I'm just gonna say what I'm typing in. ATC. There will be Heresy at the ATC this year. The dates for that are in July, because it's being hateful to me right now, not actually throwing up the dates. Do you remember what the dates
Well,
were?
that loads, Jack. I'll talk about the events that I'm running at the Dallas Games Marathon. We've got the third weekend of the month for the rest of the year. So the first one's going to be on the 15th of February. And then we're going to take the 15th of March as well. So expect us to have events running all Heresy inclusive. So we have guys here that come to play Titanicus, some guys that come to play Legions Imperialis. But we've also got people that they're mainly to play Age of Darkness. And there's prizes for showing up, there's prizes for being painted, and there's prizes for the faction as well. So people are welcome to come by North Texas location called Dallas Games Marathon. It's in Plano.
Heard. See here,
Dig it.
the Heresy ATC will be on July the 11th through the 13th. They have stuff kind of lined out for what they'll be doing, but please go to that website to actually get the nitty gritty of it, so I don't sit here and make
Blake's
stuff up.
on it. Blake's working on it
Yeah,
already.
yeah. Blake was talking about it the last Wednesday. I'm not sure exactly what point we're on there, but he was talking about that. Local to me and Duncan, the Kentucky 30K group is doing the first Kentucky meetup on March the 1st at 12 p.m. at the Battle Forge in Lexington, Kentucky. Be there or be square. I got nothing.
Yeah, that works.
Yep.
And I guess this is kind of when we officially make the announcement thing.
Oh, that's on you, dog.
All right, I guess I'll go ahead and make the announcement. So there's going to be a Heresy event in Lexington, Kentucky, June 21st and 22nd. It's going to be held at 348 East Main Street in Lexington. It's going to be concurrent with a 40K grand tournament that's being hosted at the same venue. We will have 20 tables, with the possibility of that expanding out to 30 tables. It will be a 2-day event, the 21st and 22nd. It will be, I believe, 4 or 5 games. Let me check the schedule here real quick.
Oh,
yeah, 5 games.
Oh, he has a schedule. Fancy.
Yep. It's scheduled for 5 games, starting at 11 a.m. on Saturday, ending at 9 on Saturday, and then starting at 10:30 on Sunday and ending right around 5 on Sunday. While the event is in partnership with the 40K Grand Tournament that's going on there, we are not a tournament. It is a narrative-based event. It is sponsored by us with the podcast, and it will be hosted by myself and Jack. If Jack can be there, cool. If not, then it'll be hosted by myself and
I'll be there in
whoever else.
spirit.
Yeah, if Jack can't be there, he'll be there in spirit, and I will have someone there to help me run in whatever I need, depending on what's going on. But that is June 21st and 22nd in Lexington, Kentucky. Event website will be put out as soon as I can get the guy who owns the event to actually add us to their site.
But I think it's safe to say, without knowing what Duncan has planned, it's probably going to be a fun narrative event. Probably at some point letting people bring bring toys that they don't normally get to bring.
Yep. There is plans for it to the first day to be 3K games, and the second day to be 4K games. So if you have a desire to crack out your big Titan, we've got time for you to do so. So it's going to be a bit of fun. Remember, it's entirely casual. Prize support is going to be there for best painted, favorite trader, and favorite loyalist. And there will be posters being given away as well, including options for all the past posters we've had before and the current year's posters also. And maybe, just maybe, something different. We'll see. I know ticket prices right now are supposed to be $20 or $25 for the entire event. If that changes or I have different confirmation on that, I will let people know through here. That's all I've got.
Again, hugs will be provided by Duncan.
Yep,
So everybody
I'll
knows.
have to hand out the hugs this time because John won't be there, and Jack may or may not show up depending on work.
But it will be firm, limp-wristed handshakes if I am there.
Oh yes, lots of firm limp wristed handshakes.
Don't forget about the sweaty palms.
Yep, there you go. The sweatiest of sweaty palms.
This so moist, so moist.
Damp. A nice, firm, damp grip is important when you get a Jack handshake.
All right, what else we got to cover tonight, everybody?
That's all I got.
That's all I had.
That's me too.
Outstanding. Duncan, do you want to tell Jamie to tell John to take us out of here?
No, I don't. So instead, I'll just make this simple. John, can we go ahead and take us out of here?
Sure. Thank you, everybody, for joining us for this 114th episode of the Heresy Accountabilibuddies Podcast. My name is John, and tonight I've been joined by
Duncan,
Jack,
and Jamie.
And we appreciate y'all listening to us tonight. Remember to stay accountable to your buddies, to your hobby. And Duncan, can you tell Jack to click the button that ends the recording and plays the fancy music?
Hey, Jamie, would you tell Jack to click the button that plays the music and ends the show?
What is this, like a divorced family relationship? Jack, just hit the button, dude.
I have bad news. Where it normally says stop recording, it says start. So I've been recording this whole entire time?
You probably should have.
Yep.
There you go.
Like and subscribe, and see ya.